So this is the Pilates section for this week. And as this is the third week, as we've just got 3 more weeks left of the 12-week program, I thought what I would do for the last 3 weeks is do a more beginner's flow of Pilates for this week. For week 11 would be more of an intermediates flow, and the week 12 would be the more advanced exercises that we have covered, but the whole thing would be more advanced. So for this week's beginner section, what I want to do is we're going to start lying down. We're going to remember all of the breathing, the reconnection with the body, and the exercises that help to connect back into the core and how we're doing all of that stuff correctly. So we're going to go ahead and lie down. All right, so in this lying down position, just going to reconnect with the heels, the back of the pelvis, the sacrum, small gap underneath the lower back, and a nice wide feeling of leaning back into the ribs and the bra strap down on the floor. So we're really feeling how the floor and the back of the ribs both connect together. And then we obviously have the back of the head connecting with the mat and a small gap underneath the neck. So with the arms down by our sides, we can reconnect with the natural curves of the spine as we go up, the heels connecting into the ground, and the toes and the feet nice and wide, they're energized, they're still awake. And as we come up from the feet, we're connecting through the inner thighs, through the center line of the body, keeping wide across the pelvis. And as at the same time, we're also lifting up through the outside of the feet, connecting the little toes, the outsides of the calves, up to the outsides of the knees and to the outsides of the hips. Wide across the chest, wide across the back of the shoulders, into the arms. And from here, we're going to bring the breath in, back in consciously. So breathing in and out, allowing the ribs to fill up. And as we start to bring in some movement, we're going to breathe in, bringing the arm over the head, over the body, fingers pointing up towards the head. And as we get to the top of the breath in, we're reaching the arm all the way up, turning the head away from the arm. And then as you breathe out, bending the elbow, bringing the arm back, breathing in, turn your head, reach through that whole left side of the body, opening the whole shoulder and everything up, and breathing out to come down. One more time. Breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. Adding on now, we're going to breathe in, slide the leg out as well. Stretch the whole body from tip of the fingers to tips of the toes, and breathing out. Breathing in. Sliding the leg away, opening across the whole left side of the body, breathing out. And again. Adding on now, we're going to add in a little bit of a rotation. So starts the same. And now we're going to open the leg out, so turning the toes out to the side. Circle the arm out as well. Bend the knee, so this knee is pointing out to the side now as we bring everything out to the side and then in, connecting back into the center. So to the left, head turns right, we stretch the whole left side of the body, turn the leg out, circle the arm at the same time, all the way back in and together. And again, same on the other side. Open the knee and the arm, and coming in, stretch, open the knee and the arm, coming in. Now we're going to move the opposite circle. So knee and arm, stretch, rotate the leg, bending back in so the knee's pointing up to the ceiling this time. Circle the leg and the knee and the arm. Stretch through, bending in. Circle last time on this side. Stretch, bend, circle the knee and the arm, stretch up away and bending back in. Good. Take a breath in here, and as you breathe out, both legs are going to slide out, heels sliding along the floor. We're opening across the fronts of the hips, connecting the backs of the legs down into the mat, and then to come back up, breathing out, sliding back in, breathing in, breathing out, 2 legs out, breathe in at the bottom, connecting across the waist but at the same time opening across the hips, breathing out, last one. Good. From here we're going to go into little pelvic tilts. So when we start off with the pelvic tilt, we're just going to work with the movement of the pelvis. So breath in as we breathe out, tilting the pelvis back by just connecting, drawing the skin of the belly up and then release, dropping the tailbone down. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in to rock back. Breathing out. Breathing in. Breathing out. Breathing in. Breathing out. Coming up a little bit higher this time, so we're rocking back and then drop the abdominals a little bit more. That tailbone is going to lift a little bit more, opening up the back of the waist, and then roll back down. Breath in, breathing out, rolling through, little bit higher, and roll back down. Dropping the abdominals to allow the spine room to move, tailbones rolling up towards the back of the knees. We're going to come up slightly higher. So now we're just above the waist. So bottom of the ribs is still connected into the floor. Breathing in at the top. Breathing out. Heart center drops, ribs drop. Spine, piece by piece by piece by piece. Tailbone releases. Breathe in at the bottom, breathing out, rocking back, tailbone, articulation of the spine, up one by one, coming up to the bra strap, breathing in, breathing out, roll all the way down, and breathing in at the bottom, breathing out, curling through, vertebra by vertebra, piece by piece, keeping the length in the spine, coming up to mid rib cage now, breathing in, breathing out, rolling down. And release, breathe in, breathing out, curl through, and rolling up, all the way up to the top now. Take a breath in here. Now, the position that you get to with the full bridge just depends on where you are today. If your hips are feeling tight, or if for some reason your glutes are feeling a little bit shaky, a bit weak, then you can drop this out. You don't have to push up, because inevitably you're going to go up into your lower back. So what we want is always the movement to be coming by wrapping up here. The strength in the backs of the legs, the glutes and the hamstrings working together, and the core knitting across here will allow the back to just be part of all of this work rather than pushing up there, which is going to lose the control. So, breathing in when you get to the top of your movement. As you breathe out, we're going to soften the rib cage and roll back up. Soften again on the breath out and roll back up. Soften again and roll. Soften again, dropping a little bit further each time. And roll and soften and roll. And we're going to get down toward the back of the waist now. So drop, 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 drop. And then rolling up piece by piece, always remembering it's coming from the tailbone end of the spine first. Breathing in, breathing out, rolling all the way down to the bottom and release there. Brilliant. From here, we're going to roll onto your side. And you're going to be resting so that you've got your either your elbow bent or your arm straight, your head resting on your arm, keeping your knees together. I want you to just lift your feet up so that you can check your feet are in a line with the back of your body. Now we're keeping some work in the base ribs here and in the waist, so we're getting a good connection here. Heels stay together, and then from here we're going to press the knee up and come back down, a really basic clam. So as you're doing the clam, we're just going to remember how to make sure that the hips are staying right on top of each other. So as the knee comes up, you don't let this hip roll back. You're going to keep it forwards, hips right on top, and then keeping the waist and ribs working all the time. The more you keep your hips right on top, the more you're going to feel your glutes working. So if you go to cheat the exercise now on purpose, you're going to lift your knee, now drop your hips back, your top hip, roll it back. You can feel that actually it takes the work off the muscle. So we're going to press up just as far as you can make it. If you get up to a certain point and you think, actually I can't go any further, that's totally fine. Work within your capacity. So you could be all the way up here, and as long as your hips are stacked on top of each other, that's great. You're still doing exactly the same amount of work as somebody who's down here. You're working to your maximum capacity. So hips on top of each other all the time, working on how to feel the glutes right at the back here, and you're getting this wraparound connection, ribs drawn in at the same time. So the whole core is able to work by being in the most effective position. And we're just going to do 2 more. And last one. And release. Good. Flipping over to the other side. So feet up, just to check that they're in a line with the body. Thinking about the bottom side of the ribs, bottom side of the waist. Heels stay together, lifting up into the clam. Now just notice it might be different on this side for you for today. It might be that it's the same feeling in the legs, but you can't quite connect the core in the same way. Also, it's just something to notice. So we're thinking about the base of the ribs, the belly button. All of this is drawn together all the time. And we're going to keep that working throughout the whole exercise. And also thinking about the hips positioned right on top of each other. So it's like you had a pin through both of those hips, and your leg can only move around that. You can't let your hips go back. Feel how you work into those glutes. 2 more now. Always going back to checking what's going on in the abdominals. Lovely. Rest there. Now we're going to come up onto all fours. And in an all fours position, we're making sure that the hands are underneath the shoulders, knees are underneath the hips. And now from here, we're going to imagine that we can press. Imagine that someone has their hand on the back of your head and you can press your head into their hand to really lengthen the back of the neck and get the work into the back of the neck rather than hanging your head down. So imagine somebody's got their head on their hand on the back of your head. You're going to press into that hand to make sure your head is a continuation of your whole spine. So you're growing out the top of your spine. Then also think about this area between your shoulder blades. So what you want to really make sure of is that this area between your shoulder blades is pressed, lifted up, almost like somebody's come and picked you up from your spine between your shoulder blades. Someone's picked you up like that and is going to keep you lifted up. All right, I want you to press into that area, pressing into the back of the ribs. Exactly the same as when we're preparing. When we're on the floor, you're thinking about leaning back into the ribs. Same feeling, but this time you're on all fours, you're leaning back into the ribs, leaning back into the bra strap. So we've got the back of the head pressed up, we've got the, we're pressing into the backs of the ribs, and at the same time we're going to draw up the front of the body, front of the ribs, down through the belly button, knitting across the front, and then from here, nice and easily, just going to send the left leg out, lift it up, keeping the length, keeping this lift and work, drop down, slide in, right leg, lift, drop down, slide in, left, lift, down, slide in, right, lift, down, slide in. Now bring the opposite arm in with it. So opposite arm. Now when we start to lift the arm, there always tends to be a forgetting about the shoulder situation. So as we lift the arm, we tend to go, oh, I'm just going to sink into this shoulder, yeah? So we've got to now make it much more conscious. As I lift this opposite arm, I also want to lift more into the bra strap area. So opposite arm lifts, keep on pressing into the bra strap so that we're opening the back and coming down. Opposite arm and leg, pressing into the bra strap area, lift and down. Draw up the front of the body. Draw up the front of the body. Last one. Good, and relax there. Lovely. Okay, so a really simple, not too much complication going on there. Good reminder of how to connect into the body when you're lying down on your back, lying on your side, and on all fours. So taking those nice simple elements from Pilates that we've learnt and just making them basic again. There's no harm in going back to basics every now and then, just to remind yourself so that when you go on to the more advanced stuff, you go, right, hang on, I'm on all fours. I've got to remember when I was doing it more slowly, I needed to pick up here, draw in here, lengthen here, and this is what it felt like. So really drumming in, bedding in that feeling of what it felt like to be more stable when you're working slower and working more simply. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I will see you next week with something just slightly more challenging.